today they have selected is really a very good topic, and the future of this profession is much relied on that. To begin with, since I am an opening batsman, and with me I have a team of really very good speakers, very good, I can say professional. The topic is basically the professional landscape reshaped by ethics and technology. Again, this topic itself is a very wide subject, and covering this topic in such small time and maybe within an hour is really a Herculean task. With me, I am happy to announce that I've got a very good speaker with me, and I know his talent, his skill sets, his knowledge, his contribution, since no one else, including my current president, knows him much more than I know him, because he worked immediately under me when I was the president of ICAP. Although my current president was also the vice president at that time, so it was a team and we know each other very well. I'll not take much of your time in introducing him, Mr. Hasnain Badami. Hasnain is a chartered accountant and a fellow chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. He was amongst the youngest member of the council which we, with the Jal membership elected. Again, by securing the second highest vote besides me, he was the youngest vice president of ICAP, but because of his engagements and heavy activities in the business, he has decided not to contest this time. Otherwise, he could have been the youngest president of Institute of Chartered Accountants. His contribution to the profession is second to none. I know for sure this guy can produce huge results. His knowledge is second to none. His presentation skills, being an orator, being a good presenter, and being a trainer is also worth mentioning. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Hasnain Badami. Okay. Hasnain will make a presentation, but let me just introduce the panel, the experts we have. The first speaker or first panelist is the newly crowned king of Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Bangladesh, Mr. Kausar Alam. He is also a chartered accountant from England and Wales, and he has a lot of contributions towards the cost and management accountancy profession. Especially, he was one of the icons of SAFA as well. His contribution is again worth mentioning. Then we have Mr. Nasiruddin, past president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh, and I know his experience, his knowledge is obviously will be great beneficial for this today's discussion, especially on this very important subject. He will be representing seniors like me in just informing us how technology can benefit us and why do we need to learn AI, at least on the ethics side and technology. Then we have got another dynamic gentleman from ICMAP Pakistan, Mr. Amir Ijaz. He is Executive Director of ICMAP, very knowledgeable, very logical, very hard-working. So again, I am happy to announce that this panel will guide us, including me. I am also a learner, I am also a listener in this regard. So please welcome Hasnain Badami for his presentation, and then we will start discussion on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tola, for this warm welcome, and thank you very much, all of you guys, for being here for this wonderful SAFA conference. I'm so glad to be part of this. This is the first time I have here in Dhaka, and and in Bangladesh, of course. But the warm hospitality that I've seen here from the people, right from the time I, stepped into the airport was amazing. So thank you very much to the people of Bangladesh and to the Institute and to everyone here for this warm hospitality. So the topic here is extremely important. I'm going to be talking about primarily technology, which is and primarily AI in technology, as also somebody who is representing ICAP at IFAC, IPA level. Our focus has been primarily into developing AI competencies and also being a chair of the AI-powered learning at IPAE. I'm going to be sharing my experiences as well. So before we move on, I have to get some of your viewpoints as well. So this is going to be a very brief poll, and for that I want you guys to take out your mobile phones, and you will, and if you have Kahoot app, if you guys have used Kahoot app, raise your hands. So a lot of people have not used it, so I'm going to explain this to you. You go to kahoot.it on your browser, and you add your game pin, which is mentioned here, 3868272, and I want you guys to respond with 3 very quick questions, which are going to become a poll for us, so that we understand where do we stand in terms of adoption of technology and AI, right? So please go to kahoot.it on your browser. Okay, so now we have the first person here, Gordon. Use your game pin, add your name, and then we can see your names here. All right, excellent. So 28 people, 29 people, all right, wonderful. I can see a lot of names here. I see a couple of people shying away from taking out their mobile phones, so please do that. This is going to be helpful for us to also understand, because I see people from industry here, I see people from firms here, and I want to understand how different organizations are adopting AI and technology. So this is going to be a very brief survey. Excellent. So now we have more than 75 people here. We're going to take 2 more minutes before we launch this survey. All right, one last minute before we launch this survey. So congratulations, we have a century of participants here, wonderful. It's cricket season as well. Excellent. So now, last 20 seconds and then we begin. Let's see if we can make 125. All right, so let's begin now. 125 it is. So look at your screens and then see session poll. The first question is, how much progress has your firm or company made in the use of AI for financial reporting or auditing, for that matter, if you're in the firms? So do you see no plans, do not have any plans to use AI for financial reporting, or they are planning, considering how to use AI for financial reporting or auditing? Selective adoption using AI across one of 2 areas of of financial reporting or wide adoption using AI for a variety of areas of financial reporting? Where do you see yourself or your firm or your organization? Last 7 seconds. Excellent. So we have answers here. If anybody wants to join, the game pin is also right at the bottom, right? So 76 people have said, so 59% people are planning on this hall to make use of AI. Okay. 30% are going for selective adoption and only 7%. And 4% have no plans at all as well, which means 5 people have said in this room that they have no plans at all to adopt, to go towards AI. So I wonder what exactly is the apprehension, because this is also a very important data for us, right? So what exactly is the apprehension? What are the risks that, the people are seeing? So this is a very useful survey here. The next question is going to be, which of the following actions around AI has your firm, company already taken? Adopt and or publish an AI framework to guide implementation and usage. Include some form of AI control assurance in the scope. Include the AI risk and controls within the scope of the financial reporting process. And procure third-party controls assurance over our AI processes and controls. All right, so a lot of people have mentioned about, I think the majority of the people, there is some form of AI control assurance as well in the scope. Some people have adopted and published an AI framework to guide implementation and usage, which is a very useful thing. A lot of big firms are doing that, trusted in the name of trusted AI or responsible AI frameworks. That's a very useful data for us as well. Now, the last question is, how many of you are primarily, that is 50% of, now this is an individual question, not an organizational level question. How many of you are primarily, that is more than 50% of your time, if you look at your week, right, involved in the following categories of tasks? Data collection and ingestion. It could be, for example, getting some statements, or for example, some form of financial statements from the clients, some sort of vendor statements, customer statements. So all of these kind of data collection, reconciliations for the reconciliation purposes. Research, a lot of people in advisory, financial IFRS advisory, they do a lot of research, they go back to the standards, they go back to the ISAs, and they do some research. Tax practitioners do research, right? Report generation and filing, we all understand that, and client service and advice. So think about it. More than 50% of your time goes into this. All right, so 25 people said more than 50% of your time. The 25 people in this room, which is 18% of this room, says more than 50% of their time is data collection and ingestion. 21% of their time is research. Report generation and filing is 34% of their time, which collectively means 74% of the time is going into things which you will also notice that AI is very, very capable of doing it. All right, so we'll talk about it. And the client service and advice is somewhere, of course, you need some human connection and human touch, which is 26% of the people in this room are saying more than 50% of the time goes into this. So all of these people, these 74% of this hall have a very high risk of being replaced. I'm very careful in using my words. Of being replaced, majority of your time is going to be replaced by AI in the next year or maybe so. Very easily. And I've seen the recent changes in the new accounting softwares that have come out, I mean, they are phenomenally strong and capable and autonomous. So, let's talk about the presentation now. This is a very useful information for us and for all of you to have a look at, to have this context. Now, let's move ahead. How to move ahead? Okay. I think I have to. Okay, yeah. So, just to give you a context, I recently heard about a video of a very important management theorist, Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman explained how the engine of capitalism worked, right? And he used this pen. I mean, he used a pencil actually, and he said that not a single person in this world can construct a pencil. The timber comes from a different country, the rubber comes from a different country, the labor comes from a different country, the lead comes from a different country. So you see, not a single person in the world can actually make a pencil. And that's basically the reason why we are able to make just a simple pencil is because of this intricate and subtle coordination that the entire world is doing. And that's how the engine of capitalism works. And the reason why it is, the different countries and different people are able to coordinate is because there is a body of accountants that is providing this trust. The reason why investors are putting in money, the reason why organizations are able to measure performance and take decisions, the reason why governments are able to take and collect taxes is only because accountants are able to build confidence and trust into the entire system. Now soon we will have these non-biological economic participants called digital intelligent entities, and this new type of economic activity, that is going to disrupt how the system works. Now, if you look at, for example, the earlier technological advancements, we used to, accountants, if you begin with abacus and calculators, we used to have, efficient machines to be able to help us make decisions. And then we have some intelligent ERPs and Excel spreadsheets. They used to, for example, help us, compute data very efficiently. But they were not actually interpreting the information. They were not producing, they were not talking to us in the sense that humans talk. They didn't have a language to speak to. Earlier we couldn't talk to a book. Now the book talks to us and we talk to a book, right? Now if you want to talk to somebody who has died, you can insert all. If you want to actually talk to Rabindranath Tagore, the legendary Nobel Prize laureate of Bangladesh, you can do that exactly. You can talk to Rabindranath, and you can insert the entire piece of content that Rabindranath has produced into an LLM, and then LLM can mimic the entire intelligent, for example, conversation that Rabindranath would do. And then you can do your career counseling as well as to whether you are, for example, going in the right direction or not, if you want to ask to this literary legend. So now AI is very much capable of making decisions, especially the agentic AI that I'm going to talk about. AI is very capable of reasoning it out, and it becomes really coherent unless you find out that this is all fuzzy, So it's a very complex environment where accountants have a very important responsibility, a very pivotal role to make sure that we protect the trust that people have on us. All right, to maintain that we have relevance. So when we talk about AI, there are 3 levels of AI as we speak. Then this is about the artificial narrow intelligence, which is able to perform specific tasks. First is traditional AI, which is pre-programmed to follow. It has been there since decades, and we have seen that in the form of RPAs and, for example, pre-programmed logics we can build into, for example, into many functions. Now, since 2020 onwards, where the generative AI has become public, it has been there, but it has been public now. This is an AI that responds to prompts with new content. It speaks to you, as I gave an example of speaking to somebody who has passed away as well. And then there is the third, which is agentic AI, and this is what I believe is the 2026, 2027 is going to be the year of agentic AI. You will see agentic AI being integrated into so many different softwares. I mean, just last week I took a presentation on how QuickBooks has recently launched an AI-enabled a software. How many of you have known about this? QuickBooks has recently launched an AI-enabled version. How many of you know about this? Just a quick handful of people. Yeah, I can see just 3 to 4 hands. Now, agentic AI, what agentic AI does is that it autonomously moves towards the goal. It can plan, it can act, it can take action, and it can take decisions, just like humans do. Earlier, humans had this monopoly of taking action autonomously and independently, without any. But now, there is a machine out there who can take actions, who can have goals, and who can plan and act based on those goals, right? Now, if you look at QuickBooks, and we also have a firm with offices in Kolkata, Karachi, and Canada, and I was talking to my director that after this presentation from QuickBooks, what do you think are we going to be left behind with in terms of staffing? And he said to me very categorically that probably a quarter of them are going to remain with us within maybe 2 years' time. And that is scary. That is scary. And most of the people who are doing data collection or ingestion or research kind of work are going to be replaced by the kind of agentic AIs we are going to see in the next couple of months, not days, and not years. So AI is influence. Artificial intelligence is already defining core accounting tasks. Earlier used to do mapping and stuff. Now AI can, if AI finds out that there is a discrepancy in some sort of statement, it can write emails. And if you allow the AI to do that, it can write emails, it can get responses, fix those things, and make sure that it does not have any sort of unfinished items. Financial executives cite predictive insights and real risk monitoring as key AI benefits. 65% say AI improves their ability to forecast trends. 60% cite faster risk detection, and 57% see better decision making and accuracy. Advisory work is also likewise transforming. AI can make models, AI can provide insights, AI can suggest recommendations. Deloitte's AI Institute observes that by 2027, up to 15% of new business software may be autonomously written by AI. Now, I want to mention this just 3 days ago, I also designed learning programs for organizations. So I designed a game for the biggest oil and gas sector client in Pakistan. And the game was to help people understand how the business of exploration and production works, right? I inserted my entire game manual where the people, you can imagine some sort of a cross between Monopoly, Ono, and Ludo, right? So this was the game mechanics. And I inserted the entire 12-page manual into a software called as Lovable. And Lovable created me a website that could have taken 2 months to prepare. And I, with a non-technical background of website development, I was able to prepare a website and an app within 2 hours. And that was a client-ready output. Client-ready output. I played the game. It was ready. And this is a term called as vibe coding. Vibe coding is where you can just give instructions, and based on that, it produces, for example. Now you can imagine how the accounting software, the finance industry is going to use these tools, and you guys are very much empowered to do that. I was able to prepare a website, and you guys can also do that just by giving instructions. So imagine the kind of disruption it's going to make, in terms of creating products and outputs. In auditing specifically, firms are beginning to employ AI agents for continuous controls testing, fraud detection, freeing auditors for higher level analysis. I was talking to our fellow council member and past president Farooq Sahib as well, and he also mentioned that by the next year, 100% of our audit as partner of the PwC AF Ferguson Pakistan, 100% of the audit is going to be done by softwares who are AI enabled, right? So you can imagine AI giving you procedures, you can imagine AI giving you suggestion for evidences, you can imagine AI giving you anomalies, you can imagine AI giving you review points, and preparing presentation for the board as well. So all of these things, so you can imagine the kind of disruption it's going to make. Even tax and advisory teams use AI to parse large regulatory volumes or tailor financial advice. So I also looked at McKinsey's 2025 survey of AI's reports. 88% of organizations now use AI in at least one function, up from 78% a year earlier in 2024. However, only about 1/3 are scaling programs enterprise-wide. Most are still piloting or building their first use cases. All right, so the change is ahead of us, and it's not ahead of us. Inside, it's basically on us right now. And the biggest problem that we see here is, you see, a lot of people might have a lesser understanding of LLMs. Consider LLMs as your fresh graduate. You see, that's basically your base large language model. A fresh graduate, when it comes to your firm or your organization, you expect a certain sort of intelligence. You can make sense of numbers, you can make sense of, for example, language, you will make coherent statements, right? That's a fresh graduate, right? But then when a fresh graduate comes to your firm for training or to your organization to work, you train the fresh graduate with a lot of your organization-specific, industry-specific exposure. And based on that, that fresh graduate is going to develop some sort of specific intelligence. LLM works exactly the same way, right? So if you, but the problem is, just like humans have biases and stereotypes, the LLMs who's going to be exposed to your data or trained on your data or the client's data is also going to be biased, is also going to have stereotypes. And that you will see in a lot of occasions in financial reporting. For example, in the case of ECL, an LLM might be biased towards a certain customer just because the customer belonged to a certain locality, right? And that's how LLMs could be biased, right? And then, and the problem is, it could be a black box. You might not know the basis on which the LLMs have reached to a conclusion. And also one more thing is, when you look at so when you look at LLM, yeah, sir. So, and also one more thing, there are situations where you see, imagine a team member in your organization, in your firm, who is super intelligent, who has memorized corporate laws by heart, who has memorized tax laws by heart, who has memorized IFRS by heart, who has memorized standards of auditing by heart. And whenever you ask the guy responds to you in like 5 minutes time, and out of 100 queries, 99% of the queries are correct. What are you going to do with that 100 query which is not correct? You see, the answer is very logical. You're going to be relying and you're going to be conditioned to rely on that individual. You say, okay, I don't know it. The guy has all the data. The guy has all the knowledge. The guy has been providing all the correct answers. So this is what is going to be the biggest risk as an auditor, as to whose judgment is it going to be. Because at the end of the day, regulators are going to penalize humans and not algorithms, right? So For most of the history, technology changed the tools and not the source of authority. Humans were always source of authority, right? The abacus, the calculator, the Excel. So it did not compete with the human judgment. Now it is the first technology that can make decisions and generate narratives. And I read this book by Yuval Harari, and Harari mentioned that it is the ability to generate stories by humans that has made sure that humans have survived. But now there is a being out there that can create and generate stories. Effectively, what we do as an accountant is we validate the stories, and by stories I do not make fake stories. We validate the narratives and stories that management make. We validate that. But how about AI creating stories at the management's end? And how about AI validating story at our end? So where do we belong? You see, that's the biggest challenge, right? And we are just so. Let's move ahead. So traditionally, financial truth emerged through human systems like controls, judgment, reviews, and ethical responsibility remained at our end. Now AI can generate numbers and explanations. Errors are not obvious because they are very plausible. Very plausible. So judgment is not uniquely human, no longer uniquely human in the case where the AI, right now AI is not yet developed. There are still errors and people are still finding issues in that. But in a couple of months and years time, there will be a situation where it is much more reliable for the human to rely on the machine than on him or herself, right? So now we also need to work on building responsible AI frameworks and trusted AI frameworks, which a lot of big firms have started doing it. We need AI governance to make sure that regulators, we can respond to the regulators so that we have the basis for our own decisions and judgments. And we cannot give system judgments. So we need to understand how the system works and how and what basis the AI and LLMs are going to present us its narratives. So all right. So if the accountants define themselves as people who process information, document, and mechanical compliance, they will lose relevance. And if they define themselves as the guardian of trust, which is something which we have always been doing historically, interpreters of machine-generated reality, and governors of systems that produce financial truth, that is where our relevance stays. So what do we do? Do we adopt or resist AI? What do we do? 4% of the people in this room say, okay, we have no plans of adopting AI. Right? 18% say we have some plans. And I believe 21% said they have started to pilot something. So we need to do something about this. Historically, we have all been skeptical about technology when it comes to us. You know, there was the president of National Bank in Pakistan, when the first computers were introduced, there were a lot of resistance. And he mentioned that a stanza there, a sher. I can spell it out in Urdu and then I can explain it in English. Aine nau se ladna, tarze kohan pe adna, mushkil yahi kathin hai qawmon ki zindagi mein. So the new law, the new order of the time, the new constitution of the time, if you're going to compete with that, this is the ways of the old people. You see? So this is the difficulty in the history of nations, that people have competed with the new order of the time, with the new laws of the time, right? So with respect to now, let's talk about some AI risk and traditional technological risk. With legacy systems, risk usually were centered around data security, downtime, basic software errors. But now with the scale, speed, and opacity, because a lot of people don't realize how the LLMs work, right? Even the people who have created it, still they are unsure how it is able to mimic intelligence. The real system, how it works, it's quite unclear to a lot of people. right? So that's basically a very big threat. AI model can make thousands of decisions per minute, and it's very, very, very difficult for you to verify those things unless you have understanding of the algorithmic bias and automated errors. So what do we need to ask? In each step, how is fairness engineered? The first question. The second question is, how is data sourced and secured? And what fail-safes prevent major errors? That's the third question we need to ask when we are going to employ AI. There could be multiple sort of bias. There could be historical bias or legacy bias. For example, the modern, of course, learns yesterday's judgment, but the new day's times or the new situation could be different, right? It learns from the historical accounting decision that you have taken. An example could be ECL, a bank historically delayed, for example, recognizing credit deterioration due to earnings pressure. Or, for example, it could tag a particular customer just because it belonged to a certain locality or a certain race. Selection bias, what the model never saw, it cannot learn. All right? So training data excludes certain scenarios, customers, geography, or economic cycles. For example, AI model, when it's trained on growth period, it will not be able to respond to you very efficiently and correctly in the case where you have a recession, right? So measurement bias. Proxy variables distort economic reality. For example, AI can use proxies instead of direct economic variables, and you might not know about this, right? Example could be revenue recognition. Model predicts collectability using customer response time. However, it should do it on some other basis, right? Automation bias. If the machine says it, it must be right, right? If 99% of the time the machine was right, why not the 100% time, right? So that basically could be a bias that we could have. Confirmation bias could be because it aligns with our perception of what is right and what is wrong. This also is a very strong bias, right? So I just want to conclude here with some takeaways as to what you should be doing when you have the ethical challenges or bias challenges with respect to AI. There's a concept of human in the loop and human on the loop and human out of the loop. So in the case of accounting is not like a creative field where you can still bear with, for example, hallucination from AI. You need correctness because it is a business of credibility and trust, right? In all situations, you cannot have a situation where human is out of the loop of the entire process. You must have human in the loop or on the loop, right? Means that at every point, you must make sure that human takes the decision. Human approves, human reviews it, right? If that does not happen, that is going to be a big risk for organizations and firms providing these services. And yeah, so with this, I'm going to conclude that because I want to make sure that we have ample time for our panelists as well. So let's conclude this presentation and then let's have a conversation with our esteemed panelists. Thank you very much.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Aslan, for such an exhaustive presentation. So I'm wearing two hats. Being the session chair, I'm also the moderator. And I can see most of the questions you have answered before even going through the process. Nonetheless, we have to go through some of the questions, and I know you will help me out as a co-moderator. Let's start with Mr. Nasiruddin. Sir, you are into the business since long, and considering the Bangladeshi economy, especially those sectors where we are jumping into AI and other technology, do you think you can create a balance between what AI requires and what the modus operandi of the current business, especially the SMEs. What is your take on this? Just reply from. It's a question to you.
You see, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for this question. First of all, the paper presented by Mr. Badam is a very impressive one. He has summarized it very nicely, and I had the opportunity to go through it. From the Bangladesh concept, the AI, as we see, as he has his last point is very important. In the loop, on the loop, and out of loop. In our economy, if we look at banking sector, for example, they are on the loop. They have, implemented the technology very successfully. They are operating it very successfully, and it doesn't need too much human intervention. Yes, of course, making the provision for bad debt it requires, but other things, the systems and everything, it goes without, human intervention. But our major sector is RMG, as you know. RMG sector is not very well governed, and their financial system needs to be improved a lot. From that perspective, they should be, I think, in the loop. In the loop means they need more human intervention. Their financial reporting should also be improved. Their governance aspect needs further attention, and these are very important things. And I think we are looking forward to have a national AI policy. And I hope it will be done within the next couple of years, if not earlier. And once it is done, it will be more easy for all the enterprises in Bangladesh to follow and implement AI, how successfully it can be done. I hope I have been able to answer your question.
Thank you very much for very to-the-point answer. My next panelist is Mr. Amir Ijaz Khan, again a very dynamic personality from Pakistan. Amir, you know the Pakistan's economy, you know the volatility of the economy, you know the sustainability aspect of that, especially the currency volatility. So how do you rate? Can we have some predictive model of AI to predict the currency, what's going to be the future of economy, how it will behave? Can you please give us or enlighten us?
Yes, so far as Pakistani businessman is concerned, that we are obviously taking examples from the industry that they are on the loop right now, and they are doing their best for the hedging, just like a good reputable textile organization in Karachi. They are just planting all that data, and as Mr. Badami described in his presentation, that we have abundance of data and the past precedents available with us. Based on that, somehow we're getting the data unbiased, but a human intervention is obvious thing in that, because they need to consider that fact that what is being happened in the past, what is currently being faced by the industry. So there must be some rationale behind that. And in order to gauge that volatility of the data, there must be a human intervention. So by keeping in view all these things, our banking sector is obviously in Pakistan flourishing with all that data. They have good BI models initially, and now converting all those to LLMs and asking further questions from them, and making the things and life easier for them. And same thing when it comes to the inflationary trends. State Bank of Pakistan is releasing periodical data of the inflationary trends, would it be the wholesale market or the SPI index. So based on that, they are obviously planning for their intrinsic value of the money, and the relationship between the fiduciary value of the money. So for example, like Pakistan, all the inflationary trends and the currency fluctuation. By the way, you are the best judge to deal with this stuff in Pakistan. So why don't you share your data with us?
Yes, I'll definitely share during my concluding remarks, and let me just put a question to the newly crowned king of ICMAB, Kausar Alam. Kausar bhai, you know the manufacturing sector of Bangladesh, they are very good at it. And like pharmaceutical and other manufacturing sector. So how do you see how they will implement this AI procedures, prospects, and what do you see their upcoming and their, I think, take on this newly invented AI procedures? And do you think it will be beneficial for the economy as a whole?
Thank you very much, Honorable Session Chair, and also thank you to the paper presenter, Mr. Badani, for excellent presentation with very interactive items. And the question is very pertinent. In fact, as we see from the survey that many of the responses came that AI in this part of the globe, in particular in Bangladesh, still at the evolution stage, we are still in the thought process. But it would not be too late also to be part of our real life at large. Unlike ChatGPT, it took actually less than 24 hours actually to be globalized and to have first 1 million user. But though AI is prevailing since 1950s, 60s in various form, in a specialized need like PLCs and other form. But in recent years, over last 2-3 years, it has have much implication and it is touching in our life. In particular to Bangladesh, actually our economy is evolving. It is the fastest growing economy. And of course, manufacturing is taking side or overtaking the service or agricultural sector. Earlier it was the dominant. So yes, in terms of our efficiency, scalability, and also competition with the global market in terms of RMG, we got to focus on adopting this sort of technologies, particularly artificial intelligence. So before that, actually we are an accountant, many of us are dealing with data or the entire ecosystem of data in the organization. So lately, over last 10 plus minus years, our corporates has adopted ERPs. Earlier, actually, it was too expensive or thought to be too expensive, not taking care of going to automation. So our primary endeavor should be taking full-fledged automation through ERP and also along with ERP, BI, business intelligence, that would actually help in terms of micro intelligence inside the organization with internal data. Then, of course, AI deals with in a broader landscape, broader perspective in terms of using the global data. As far as manufacturing industries is concerned, like we can have entire value chain, all players in the value chain of the industry or for any matters in particular to pharmaceuticals or any other manufacturing industry. So we can create more values through sharing the information through AI and also having predictive analysis. So it has to be win-win among the stakeholders in the value chain of the manufacturing industry so that everybody put their investment. Also in terms of investment, it is for us at SME level or even medium or enterprise level. So far still it is high investment scope. So we got to also encourage the investors. That is also a big job in terms of motivating the investors, all stakeholders in terms of coming up, first of all, automation through ERP, business intelligence, then of course artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is tremendous thing because it has significant scale, scope, and also transparency issues. It has significant risk associated also. So I think in Bangladesh, we have some time. Also, in terms of AI, maturity would depend on the global country-wise IT maturity. We are little behind. So we might have a window of time in terms of getting fully exposed to the global market. Let's hope our corporates would take these windows of opportunity and get in full course of AI. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for very exhaustive reply. My next question again to sir, that the entire world is facing a climatic vulnerability, and so do Afghanistan, so do Bangladesh, Pakistan, and this entire region. How do you feel that AI can help us especially in this case, and where we can predict it, how to cater and how to mitigate these climatic vulnerabilities, especially from the perspective of accountants like sustainable reporting, etc. So what's your take on this, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, the role of accountant, as you know, apart from the statutory audit and other the compliance and attested services, it has gone far more. Now the most important part and focus is given to ESG, environment, social and corporate governance, governance aspect. Definitely this has great impact nowadays. If we talk about the environment, this real-time carbon tracking is very important. At the same time, predictive climate risk modeling also important. And this has to be done. And I'm sure some of the companies in Bangladesh, they have also taken initiative to go for this. But fortunately, we have a very interesting, model or guidelines from the Bangladesh Security Exchange Commission. They have issued a guidelines on sustainability reporting guidelines. At the same time, if you look at the international practices, then AI-powered ESG dashboard is very important. If we follow these two tools, I'm sure it will improve a lot in this area. The other thing is that ethical governance. This is very, very difficult and complex, I should say. Our chief guest told that he sometime or to some extent blame the accountant that any amount or money was siphoned out and the accountant has the responsibility. I should say yes, accountant has the responsibility, but more responsibility was the governance. Governance was the governance of the bank, governance of the corporate, governance is totally, if not totally, I should say, to a great extent it failed. So if the governance worked properly, I'm sure this kind of things like siphoning out of money, it will not happen again. So we should focus on the governance. If you say what is governance? The following the rules and regulation and this right person on the right place and the company policy and the international practices, then nothing will go wrong. But we have failed to some extent. Last 15 years, we have failed to implement the governance to the expected level. Anyway, past is past, so we should not go for it. But I'm sure if we do this kind of thing, I'm sure this governance, this ESG perspective will improve, and the society as a whole, economy as a whole will be benefited at last. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Amir, again, towards you. The management accountants universally are using extensively this AI tool to just cater to their requirements and just to come out with the quick decisions. Do you think that it influenced the human judgment in manufacturing cost or maybe cost control, especially in the public sector entities or organizations?
So again, taking the whole grasp from the earlier presentation, that human should be there in the loop. So when it comes to the management accountants, they are not beside that model. So they are very much the part of that process, and whatever rationale is being generated, so this should not only be dependent on some algorithms or the LLMs. There must be some stakeholder who will take the onus of the whole procedure and the conclusive thoughts of that mechanism being developed by any organization. So when we talk about all these things, we should consider the ethical part of all these things. So for that purpose, there must be some code of conduct and the usage rights for all those things. So it should not be started from the elementary level and the people lost their chance to hold some grip on the data and everything is being pulled or pushed in the system. So to start with that technically, so that's the thing that after high school when a student is coming to ICMA Pakistan, so we got to introduce that Gen AI as a subject on that elementary level, because we want to show them that what is the role of that Gen AI in complementing the professional accountancy skill of a professional. The professional accountant will remain there. Only those guys will got absoluted who have no indulgement or their skills with this contemporary knowledge. So if it's not the case, then a complemented AI-enabled professional accountant is very much the need of time. And they will be the ones who will be driving certain cost sort of indicators, the inflationary trends, variance analysis, then and there, not being waiting for any periodical reports to come out of the system because they are much robust nowadays based on those AI generative models. And when it's going to be agentic now, so they have more say in all those things. When it comes to the government side, obviously, whatever they are doing there, and if they are coming with some tariff side of things, parity rates to be considered in corporate language, so they have their role to be played with the support of this AI generative data.
Thank you. Kausar, my last question to you. Basically, Bangladesh or this whole region is under pressure to improve the ESG compliances. Do you think there's a shortcut that by adopting AI, we can just speed it up and just maneuver the timing? What's your take?
Thank you, sir, again. Actually, ESG, it's not very new, also not very old, but at the corporate, in this part of the globe, in particular in our country, in Bangladesh also, it is yet to get accepted at large. Like some of the companies 10, 15 years back volunteered to report sustainability reporting or integrated reporting. But it is slowly getting momentum. But as far as requirement, and Bangladesh is a climate affected country largely in a vast way. So considering these aspects, ESG is something we cannot avoid. In fact, at the global level, nobody can avoid the ESG issues. So coming back to our role as a professional accountant, ESG has significant involvement. Accountants have significant involvement in terms of ESG. So we got to actually take a pioneering role or leading role in terms of disseminating the knowledge across the organization, across policymaker, and also making it inside the policy of the organization, and also risk of ESG, how it is affecting the entire nation as a whole and any corporate as a whole. So, and also risk part of it. So taking all these aspects, we got to take a pioneering role as a professional accountant in terms of educating our corporates and also making them understand in terms of allocating budget and also making investment at corporate level and also at national level. So on that count, our role is very important, and also having reporting like sustainability reporting, it is taking momentum, but we got to take it in a bigger way so that we know the entire issues, entire gamut of ESG in the Bangladesh context, taking some of all major organizations. And in terms of skill development also, like ESG reporting skill is a little different skill than our conventional technical financial reporting skill. So we got to also educate, taking support from GRI and other reporting bodies, those who give training to the ESG experts. So as a professional accountant, that could be another feather in our cap to actually know the knowledge and apply for the greater interest of the economy and of the corporates. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, panelists, for enlightening this whole crowd, including myself. And I hope that we have raised the bar of our knowledge about AI with exhaustive presentation and a gameplay by Hasnain Badami, then insights by Nisaruddin Saab, and then Amir Ejad and Kausar Alam. Let me say a few words. Basically, this is a survey which was conducted by one of the leaders, World Economic Forum, and I think they have said that 40% of the employee will go away maybe in next 5 years. And accountants may be the worst hit. So there is no need to worry about, because when there is adversity, there is opportunity. What we need to learn, and this is a wake-up call for all of us, that to learn AI, to learn all these tools, what they are doing. This is artificial intelligence. They are not much more than what human intelligence is. Human intelligence is far superior. What they are doing, they are gathering the data, available data on a machine, they combine it, and the only feature they have is to combine them and give you a quick reflection of what do you need. So to avoid the timing, what we do, we take a shortcut. And to take a shortcut, obviously we need these tools. Obviously, it cannot replace the human judgment, as I said, and as we are discussing time and again. So in my humble view, the takeaway from this discussion is, yes, AI is going to impact the role of professional accountants, the role of economy, its role in the economy of the country, but we need not to be worried about. The world will create another, say, 20 million jobs as well. So if we catch up with the time, if we catch up with the knowledge, we need not to worry. But if we remain redundant, even at the age of 20, as I narrated in my opening remarks, then we will be redundant. So with these words, I think when Amir told me to just throw some light on the exchange volatility, yes, this is dilemma in this part of the world, especially last time when I came to Bangladesh, and with utmost respect to the economist which has mentioned that thanks to State Bank or Central Bank of Bangladesh that they are buying at a higher rate, like State Bank of Pakistan is doing in Pakistan. In my humble view, when we had a devaluation, a massive devaluation, the cost of such devaluation was passed on to the masses, and we compounded their miseries. Now it is the time when we can reverse their miseries and we can buy at demand and supply mechanism, two mechanism rate. It should have been much lower. Like in Pakistan case, in my calculation, it is not more than 253 rupee per dollar. And in case of Bangladesh, our calculation says it should not be more than 100 or 105 taka per dollar. So with these words, I think, thank you very much again, the panelists, the speaker. I know Hasnain's presentation is second to none, and he has always been a good presenter. He was the one who co-authored the strategy of ICAP for 4 years, which we followed in later in spirit, and we got the results. So Hasnain, thank you again. Thank you, Mr. President Saruddin Saab, Kausar Alam Saab, and my own Amir Ejaz Saab. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll stay back at this stage. I would also request IFAC President, SAFA President, ICAB President, and Conference Chair to be on stage. आप सामने चले आइए, सर जी. एक लाइन पे खड़े हो जाइए. Now crests will be presented to. First one goes to Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tola, FCA, Advisor SAFA. He has been the session chair and the moderator for the session 1, Professional Landscape, Reshaped by Ethics and Technology. Big hand for him, and next, a very good presentation by Mr. Hasnain Badami Sahab. He's the council member, ICA Pakistan, and member of the IFAC Education Committee. Mr. Hasnain R. Badami is receiving it. Next one goes to Mr. A.F. Nisaruddin FCA, past president, ICAB, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. Yes, next is the new president of Institute of Cost Management and Accountants of Bangladesh, Mr. Kausar Alam FCMA. He got his crown just yesterday, Mr. Kausar Alam. And last but not the least, Mr. Amir Ejaz Khan, FCMA. He is the Executive Director, Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan. Thank you so much to all of you. We are going for a break, lunch and prayer break for 1 hour. Maybe at 2, we are going to start here. 2 o'clock, please come back to this hall.